Excellent. All right, so ghost pattern software, the idea was to try to solve the mobility problem for GroupWise. And so to that end, I went and created some iPhone apps and some Android applications for GroupWise specifically. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about about these apps and go into it, and hopefully we'll have some opportunity to answer some questions at the end, and should have a good conversation. So first of all, let's talk about kind of the mobile marketplace a little bit. You know, we started out here, you know, we had this conversation a handful of years ago. It would have been about Nokia devices and BlackBerries, but starting in 2007, we had this huge change in terms of how we connect to our email and how we get access to our content, and that started with Apple and the iPhone, and now very much we've got Android, which has created a dominant position in the marketplace. So we've got so what do GroupWise users want to do? They have these nice iPhones, and they connect to GroupWise Web Access, and they're getting a less than stellar experience. It's not what they're expecting. What they really want is they want something that's easy to use. They want it. They want a native application, and they want GroupWise specific features, and they want it to just work. And that's kind of the expectation that Apple has set people with, and so the users, they want that. Well, so what we've done is we've created these native apps. Specifically, we've created these applications that give you the ability to easily connect and get things going. Let me show you what that looked like. So with these native applications, we support several different platforms: iOS, Android, and Samsung Bada. If you haven't heard of Samsung Bada before, don't feel bad. It's not available in North America. If you're from Australia, you've probably heard of it, but Samsung's just getting started with it. The apps are easy to get. You just get them from the Apple App Store or the Android Market or from the Amazon App Store, and works across all these different versions of GroupWise. So not just the current version of GroupWise, but back quite a ways. So how easy is it to get it? Well, got a couple of screenshots here. What you do is you just go out to the Apple App Store, you search for the word GroupWise, and there are the apps. You download and buy them just like you're buying Angry Birds, and then it downloads. When you run the app the first time, it asks you for the URL to your GroupWise Web Access server. There's nothing that you need to do to the server in order to accommodate the app. And then you put in your username and password, and then the app connects directly to the GroupWise Web Access server, and there's your mailbox. It takes just a handful of minutes, very easy to do, and you're up and running. So let's dig into it a little bit more. So specifically, our GW Mail app is designed to deliver your mailbox. So using a native iPhone interface, it automatically logs in when you run the app, and we have support for GroupWise 12 all the way back through GroupWise 6.5. Not very many people are running GroupWise 6.5, but there are a few. So you tap on the row for an email. It's in your mailbox, and you can read an email, an appointment, task, a note. It's just going to show up there, and works similarly on an iPad. Works just fine. Like I said, setup is fairly straightforward. Now, we are careful with your credentials, and we do store the password securely on the device in Apple Secure Password Store. If you are worried about that, though, I recommend you can not enter your password into the app, and then the app will prompt you as you use the app for your password, and then when you exit the app, the password is no longer in memory. Of course, in general, I recommend not having your device set up without a passcode. So you should always have a passcode for your device if you're storing important business information. Question was asked about signatures. Yes, the app will attach a signature if you set it up for GroupWise Web Access to use that. All right, so the mailbox is fairly straightforward in that we're going to show you all the nice little GroupWise details, unread status, whether or not you replied or forwarded the item, an attachment icon if there's an attachment on there. This is a feature that a lot of people don't necessarily know because it isn't obvious. But if you want to delete an item without opening it, say it's a spam that somehow makes it through to your mailbox, you can use the iPhone feature to swipe and delete. You swipe your finger from left to right over the right side of the row for the email that you want to delete. The delete button comes up, tap it, and the item is gone. So we're using iPhone-specific features in the app. Now, you don't just want to read your mailbox. You're going to want to go and access items in other folders. And so you tap on the folders button in the upper left-hand corner, and it will bring up a list of your folders. And you can then tap on the folder you want to view or expand a folder list to view items in your cabinet. And then you select that folder, and you're good to go. When you read an email, one of the nice things about this app is that it will go in and it'll read items as the item type that they are. So, for example, when you receive a note from a user, the app is going to show you the note and not some converted exchange active sync version of the note. It's going to look just like it's going to deal with it just as GroupWise Web Access will deal with it, in that you'll see an appointment, task, note. From here, you can mark an item as unread. So the little button, that's the second one from the left on the bottom toolbar, will allow you to mark an item unread. You can delete an item. You can apply, forward, move an item. So you tap on the little arrow button on the bottom, and up comes a list of options of things that you can do, and do the things that you'd expect to do, including not just replying and forwarding, but moving an item to a folder or viewing its properties. One of the cool features about GroupWise is status tracking, and so with this app, you can do status tracking. So you can see, all right, who has accepted this appointment? Who's going to attend the meeting? That sort of thing. Another nice thing about the app is attachments. So when you've got an attachment come through, we can do a couple of different things. Now, of course, if it's an attached email, that's going to come through just fine. You tap on the email, and it will open it, just in a normal group-wise fashion. There's no convoluted inline attachment kind of thing that you sometimes get with other solutions. What happens when you get a PDF or a docx file? Well, you actually have a couple of options. One, you can use the group-wise access document converter. You know, sometimes it works really well. It works a lot better since GroupWise 8. And so you can tap on GroupWise View, that link there, and it will convert the document on the server and then just send down the HTML. Really easy to view. But you can also do this other option that is labeled iOS View. You tap on that link, and it's actually going to download that attachment to the local device, and then it gives you the option to use the device's document converter, which is the screenshot that we've got here, or we've got or you can actually open the document with an app that is installed on your device. So, for example, Apple has a number of apps that you can buy from them that allow you to view a docx file, for example, or even edit it. There are, I don't know how many PDF viewers out on the App Store. Adobe even has released one of them. You can download a PDF and view it using Adobe's Acrobat Reader. So that ability to take that document and move it into the app of your choice is a nice strength of this GWML. Compose, just like you'd expect, compose an email, reply forward, and like was asked in the comment here, applying signatures, it's going to apply the signature rule that you set up in GroupWise Access, and then automatically attach your signature when it goes out. Composing, it's just really easy. Address books, of course, you don't always know everybody's address. Of course, it's easiest to reply, but I want to add somebody to my composed email here. We just start typing the person's name, and we get an address book search, pops up with the search results. One of the nice features of the app is that we get to search across all of your address books. So it will do that. It will start searching. First of all, it will start searching your local device's address book. And then if it doesn't find a match there, it will search the frequent contact. Once it finds a match, it will stop searching and display the result. But if you want it to search the next address book, then you tap on that link to search more address books, and it will search the next address book, and in it goes. All right. So I'm not sure we're going to have enough time, so let's not do a demo today, and let's talk some more about Android. So when the company first started, we produced this GWMail for iPhone, but have a lot of Android users now. So I ported the app to Android. It's a completely native app. It has a lot of Android look and feel. If you look at this screenshot, the menu system popping up, it looks and feels like an Android app and not like an iPhone app. Reading an email, just like the iPhone version, except we're getting more of an Android look and feel. Again, you're able to look at emails, appointments, tasks, posted appointments. They're all going to show up right. Tablet support. I have a nice Motorola Zoom that I've tested with. Works just fine. So all the standard features you expect to be there are going to be there. Reading your mailbox, reading other folders, interacting with the item to view properties, moving, deleting, or compose, or apply. Just like the iPhone app, your signature is going to get attached there. So yes, to answer your question simply, yes, you do have to set up web access to automatically attach the signature, and GW Mail does not prompt you about the signature. You'll be able, when you're composing, you'll be able to search the address books, your group-wise address books, view attachments, all that kind of stuff that you expect to be there on Android. Now let's talk about calendaring. I created a separate app for interacting with the calendar, and really two reasons. One, really seemed to be the way that Apple and Android were going in terms of separating out functions. I wanted to have apps really focus on doing one set of tasks at a time. So with the calendar app, we've got it just is about doing calendaring and showing you your appointments, your tasks, your notes, showing you all of those things for a specific date. Now, in terms of configuring the app, it's going to be just like GW Mail in terms of to give it the URL, your username and password, and you're good to go. We have a couple of different ways that you can view the data. So we've got the ability to view a day's worth of items, or a week's worth of items, or a month's worth of items at a time, just depending on how you want to search for your items. Now, with the month view, you kind of have a list. A lot of people have said, hey, I'd really like to have more of a graphical layout for the calendar. That's actually something that that I'm actively working on. Hopefully should be done here and available in the next couple of weeks. Now that will come out as a nice free update that everybody will get. Now, of course, all the standard features, just like in GW Mail, are there in terms of replying to an item, forwarding an appointment, all of those kinds of things. Viewing attachment works just fine. Now, one thing that's going to be a little bit different when you're interacting with an appointment is that you have additional different options. So, for example, you don't usually delete calendar appointments, right? And in fact, group-wise web access won't let you delete an appointment. You have to either accept it or decline it. But those kinds of item-specific features are there: accepting, declining, completing tasks, accepting notes, that sort of thing. Composing. So for the iPhone, we can create appointments, tasks, notes, posted versions of all of those. The Android version, we can only create appointments, but really give you the ability to create a native version, a native group-wise appointment, invite users to it, set a location, duration, all those kinds of things. Now, one feature that a lot of people ask about is how do I edit an appointment? Well, in GroupWise, we don't edit appointments, we resend appointments. So what you do is you open the appointment, and if you have rights because you were the person that sent the appointment, then you select the reply menu, and one of the options there will be resend, and you'll be able to resend with a retract. Another new feature that we've added is the ability to pick the calendars that you want displayed. So we have a lot of calendars that we can set up in GroupWise, and new in GroupWise 8, or GroupWise Web Access 8, you can have multiple calendars there, and the app can let you turn on and off the calendars that you want to view in the app. It does require group-wide aid or later. So, question. Somebody asked about alarms. We don't have alarms yet for GW Calendar. I think that's something that we should be able to do in the future. First, I'm doing some major modifications to get that month view, but I think once that's done, I should be able to get alarms for appointments without too much difficulty. It's asked, what about working with GroupWise 12 web access? Yes, the apps all work with GroupWise 2012. I've had to do a number of updates as we've gone through the beta process to get some updates there. But all the updates are there for Android and for the GW Calendar and GW Contacts for the iPhone. We have another update that's coming that will get full compatibility to fix a couple of bugs with GroupWise 2012 and GW Mail for iOS. We're waiting on an update adding some features. Hopefully as soon as that is done, we'll have the next update for GW Mail for iOS. We'll have full compatibility for the release version of GroupWise 2012. All right, so GW Calendar for Android, just quickly, it's just, again, it's an Android-specific app. You know, the menu button, the back button is going to be there. And, you know, it looks and feels like an Android app. Day, month, week views, a calendar picker so you can jump specifically to a date. Now, this is an advantage that you get with these apps on both iPhone and Android, is that you can jump 2 months in the future, you can jump a year in the past, and you're going to be able to have access to your full calendar, and not just you know, a few days in the past and a little time period in the future that you might get with a synchronization solution. Calendar app works great on the tablet. Standard features work just great in terms of opening attachments, just kind of what you'd expect. Now, we have a new feature. This is kind of the number one feature that people are asking for, is notifications. I was hoping to have it available for this presentation, but right now we're still in beta. It's better to get it right than have it available, I guess. So let's, but still wanted to talk to you guys about it and show you, talk about some of the features that that are available, or how notifications work. So the notification system, so the way that Apple works is they don't allow you to just have an app running in the background and check your server occasionally for new email. So what we've had to do is implement a notification server service that is able to go out and in the background look at the server and log in for the user, check to see if there's new email, and then send a notification. So because there is a server service involved, this service does cost a nominal amount. We have it set up to be $1 a month with a 1 free month included for anybody as you're trying it out. Now, so let's talk a little bit. How does push notifications work? Well, normally an app, when you just run GW Mail, it's going to talk directly to GroupWise Web Access. There's nothing really that's involved outside of that. But because Apple doesn't let an app run in the background for battery concerns and such, here's how Apple suggests that you do it. So we've got a notification server that then sends the notification the push notification to your device, and you get a little audible sound when a new email shows up. And that's basically how it works. Now, one thing that's of concern to some people is, in order for the my notification service to know whether or not there's an email, a new email that's arrived on your account, it has to periodically poll the server. That means that my server has a copy of the credential. So if there's a concern with that, and an IT department wants this to not be allowed for their users, you can contact me, and I can basically blacklist your users, and when they go to sign up for the service, they'll receive a notification that they're not allowed to purchase the service. Question was asked, will the push notification allow me to select email? No, what the push notification service will look like is that it will just send you a notification, and so you'll hear an audible sound if a new email arrives, and otherwise the badge number on the icon will be updated. So you hear the sound, and then you go and you launch GW Mail, and you'll be able to then interact with the emails. So it's pretty straightforward. The service is set up to poll the GroupLink Web Access server on a 15-minute interval. Now, we are in the middle of a beta for this, so I recommend that, or I'd like to invite people that are interested in this to send me an email, and I'd like to get you involved with the beta. I want to get more people testing this out to make sure it works before I subject everybody to it. So if you're interested at all in the beta, send me an email. I'll send you a copy of the app, and you can install and use it, and let me know how well it works or not for you and your server. So, any more questions about notification? You know, I do have out on our website a web page that I can send you a link to that will describe a little bit more about the notification service. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to send me an email, and we can have a good little chat about it. Now let's talk about these apps. Why are they different or better than maybe some other solutions? Well, you're going to get access to your tasks and notes. You're going to be able to, so not just emails and appointments, but everything GroupWise gives you. You're going to be able to search all your address books. You don't have to pre-select address books to sync over to your device. You're going to be able to search all those address books without having to have them synced over. You can access status tracking. You can access better interaction with attachments. When you have a forwarded email, it's going to look normal, and you're going to be able to open it. Shared folders. So this is a problem that a lot of sync solutions are unable to do. The app has the ability to view items in a shared folder, just like GroupWise Web Access does. Again, with information on GroupWise support, we do support GroupWise 2012 all the way back to GroupWise 6.5. We do not support GroupWise 6. I think there's like 2 people that are still using GroupWise 6. But anyway. Now, device support. So for the iPhone, an iPad, iPod Touch, we support all the way back to iOS 3.0, which is several years back. So that gets pretty much everybody. On Android, we support all the way back to Android 1.5, which is like the beginning of Android time. So that should get most people as well. For Samsung Bada, we only support the newer Bada 2.0. And again, Samsung Bada devices are really more commonly encountered in Europe, in some countries, in Australia, and in Asia. How does the app work? It does connect directly to GroupWise Web Access from the device, and so because of that, it requires a live internet connection. So if you don't have a connection to the internet, the app's not going to work. The app supports iOS, or it supports Novell Access Manager and iChain on iOS, and just Novell Access Manager for Android. So if you have a proxy server in there so that the app is unable to directly access the GroupWise Web Access server, that could be a problem. But we can get around that with Access Manager and iChain. Now, how do users buy the app? Well, for the iPhone, the place to go is to just go out to the App Store. So if you have some users, they've got their brand new little iPhone that they bring into work, and they say, hey, I want to connect it to GroupWise. What you do is you just send them out to the Apple App Store, search for the word GroupWise, and there's the app. They buy the app and get it going, and they're good to go. On Android, you have a couple of options. You can either buy it through the Android Market or the Amazon App Store. Sometimes the Android Market has trouble with transactions. When it works great. When it doesn't work, it feels miserable. So another option to use is the Amazon App Store. Also, if you have, for example, a Kindle Fire, the Amazon App Store is your only choice. In Kubota, they have similar types of app stores and such for the Kubota devices. Search for GroupWise. Now, what if you are feeling generous and you want to buy the apps for your users? Well, Apple doesn't let me sell apps directly to users or to businesses. So what Apple has done is they set up a volume purchase program. Now, for education, that's fairly easy to do. You sign up with Apple, and Apple actually will let you buy, if you buy over 20 copies at a time, you can get a 50% discount, which is very nice for the education folks. Basically, and then, similar program for businesses in terms of you set yourself up with Apple, and then you buy a certain number of apps and you're good to go. If you only want to do one or two, or you don't want to go through the bother of getting connected up with Apple, especially because the education program and a volume purchase program for businesses is only available in North America. The gifting option is fairly similar. It's just a little bit more of a hassle or work on your part to buy the apps for the users. How it works is what you do is you buy the app, and then what Apple will send you is they'll send you promo codes, or a little code that can then be plugged into the person's device, and which will directly redeem the app and start downloading the app. So it works fairly straightforward. Now, what about the notification service? That's an in-app purchase that users would buy normally. If you want to buy that for your users, then you can contact me and you can buy that directly for them. Android. So Android is a little bit less restrictive in that sense. And so just contact me, and we can do a volume purchase, and I'll send you APK files or Android apps that are preset to user server, and you're good to go. So again, so why is this a good solution from an IT point of view? Well, it's very easy to set up. You don't actually have to do anything as an IT department to accommodate these apps. You just tell your users, go out and get the app, point it at GroupWise Web Access. Almost everybody has a GroupWise Web Access server set up. Fairly simple and straightforward. The apps are fairly inexpensive. They're just a one-time purchase to get the app, and then and even notifications is pretty inexpensive. You don't end up with sync problems because the app is talking to GroupLink Web Access, which is talking directly to the user's POA. The email is either going to show up or it's not because it's not on the POA. So you never end up with problems questioning whether or not things are working properly. We do also support older versions of GroupWise. So if your CEO shows up with his iPad and says, I want it to work today, and then you say, hey, well, we're not upgrading to GroupWise whatever until next week, sorry. CEOs don't like the word sorry, and so this app's something to get you going immediately, as well as we're going to get you access to those GroupLink specific features. One thing I recommend is we do have a Lite app. This is a free app. The goal of this app is not really to be useful in a day-to-day sense, but really to allow you to test to make sure that the apps are going to work with your GroupWise Web Access server before you pay money to buy the app. The last thing I want is for somebody to buy an app and say, oh, well, it doesn't work because I've got some proxy server in the way or some other problem. Try out the GW Lite app. If that works, then the other apps are going to work. Just basically, you can see that the GW Lite app is just there to demonstrate, hey, I can see information about your mailbox, I can see information about your calendar, and I'll let you read an email to show you that I can read an email for you too. So, here's a question that people often have is they say, hey, well, I'd like it if the app did something else, new features, that kind of thing. Well, one of the nice things about how these apps work is that we roll out the apps and you buy it for one time and you get future updates and new features. So when I added the GroupWise 2012 support over the last number of months as we've gone through the beta process with GroupWise 2012 and then with the final release, I've made bug fixes, added new features, and those kinds of things are just are a free update to everybody. We're also doing new apps. So an app that we didn't really discuss today is GW Contact. So, which is basically the ability to search your address book and look at phone numbers and other email addresses and information about users. The new app that we've released. So we have lots of new things that happen that are released to users regularly. I recommend if you want to be kind of up on that and then or be made aware when we release new features and such. If you go out to ghostpattern.com/news, you can subscribe to our newsletter. I don't send out very many notifications or newsletter emails, like maybe a handful a year at the most. But basically, when we have new major features released, I'll send out an email and you'll be able to get that. So a question that was asked is there an app that will allow me to configure my iPhone to only beep on certain emails from a certain individual or that kind of thing? I'm not aware of any app that would allow you to do that. You might be able to do something interesting in terms of setting up a rule that forwarded an email to a certain place, but I think aside from, if you wanted to set up the notifications with my app and basically filter out everybody but the important folks, then that would be an option. But that's a good suggestion for a future update. Thank you very much, Adolfo. So what if you have more questions or enhancement requests? Definitely, you can send me an email at daniel@ghostpattern.com, or I do have dedicated support staff. So if you're having any kind of problems with the app or have a question that you'd like to ask support, email support@ghostpattern.com, and you'll be able to get good support. And we'll try to do our best to try and make sure that you'll be able to use the app. So that's the end of the presentation. I don't know if there are any more questions from anybody. We've taken a few questions as people have typed them in the messaging box here in the WebEx presentation. If there are any more questions, we can take them.
Daniel, I did see a couple of other questions. So you may have already mentioned, but maybe you can just clarify. So the question was, so web access must be set to automatically attach signature, as when set to prompt GroupWise mail doesn't prompt you.
Exactly, yes. So that's exactly right. So what you do is you log into GroupWise Web Access, and you configure the signatures, and you set it so that it will automatically attach the signature to outgoing email, and then the app will, when the email is sent, because, so this kind of speaks to how the app works. The app doesn't directly send the email, it tells GroupWise Web Access to send the email. So one of the advantages of this is that you know that all the steps, all of the tracking, showing up in the sent folder, all of that kind of information is going to show up accurately and on the server. So in this case, for signatures, that applies as well.
Okay, perfect. And then I did have one more question. Is the GroupWise Mail, GroupWise Calendar app able to handle password expiry prompts for users that want to exclusively use mobile devices to access GroupWise?
Good question. I don't believe that the app will prompt you when a password is about to expire, but once the password has expired, the app will recognize that and show you that and give you the proper notification from GroupWise Web Access that your password has expired. But I would have to do some testing to see if it prompts you with a delay. It might, but I don't know for sure. Sorry.
All right, and I don't see any other questions, but if you do have any more questions, go ahead and put them through on the chat or on the Q&A.